Hello, everyone. Welcome again. Today, we are going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is leadership. So, without further ado, let's get started and cut to the chase here. So, let's start with the basics here, right? So, how would you define leadership?
I can give you a very crisp reply. When a group of people suspend their judgment in favor of an individual's judgment, then that individual has the quality of leadership.
Are there different types of leaders, and are there different kinds of leaders, and are there situations in which each of these types of kinds of leaders would be more successful?
Yes, there are various kinds of leaderships. You have got autocratic, democratic, laissez-faire, the 7 types, 10 types, depending on the authors. But these are at a macro level. And uh, every individual will have to indulge in all types of leaderships. For example, a platoon commander, he will have a platoon, a soldier. He will. There's no question of any democratic or voting rights there. He'll have to obey. Same thing with the fire chief. But that's different when you're having a volunteer group. Things are different.
In that case, what makes a good leader?
First is the leader has to be highly motivated. He should have a vision of the future. He should have a vision of the organization. He should be a good communicator. He should be able to work with teams. He should be able to work with different kinds of people. And he should understand the industrial climate. He should understand the labor climate. He should understand how the government works. And most important of all, he should be able to predict the future.
Are there mistakes that leaders should avoid?
Leaders are human beings, and because they are human beings, they will make mistakes. And when a leader makes a mistake, he's supposed to own up. That is the only way that a leader can be forgiven, or his defect or his error or his mistake will be pardoned, and he can go ahead. So the first thing is to own up. There's one kind of mistake, however, which cannot be pardoned. That is a breach of trust. If he has done something that betrays the trust that the followers have laid upon him, it is very, very difficult for him to build that team again. It will be very difficult for him to be a leader if he has breached the trust that the followers have placed upon him.
Can you talk about an example where, let's say, from history, where leadership was shown and kind of saved the day, let's say?
I can give you an example of Mahatma Gandhi. He got independence for us from the British, and he gave very clear instructions to his followers that they will not indulge in violence. They will not hit, they will not beat, they will not throw stones, no kind of violence. And if the police, the British police, beat these followers, the followers are to be beaten and not beat back. Now you can imagine the British with their King James Version, their kind of non-violence, their kind of, if a man smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him your left also. And with such a kind, they had very high value system. They placed a lot of value and weightage on non-violence in their personal ethical dimension. And here they were coming to beat some people, beating some people, and the people just didn't beat back. This broke the conscience of the British. And Mahatma Gandhi was very successful in using non-violence against a people who valued non-violence. That is how India got independence, through non-violence.
That's that's a beautiful example, because probably this smart decision in leadership changed the lives of potentially 1.5 to 2 billion people today. So I think there couldn't have been a better example that that one could have asked for. So let's fast forward about 70 plus years, and one of the things that people keep talking about is artificial intelligence today. How do you think artificial intelligence affects leadership, or can you talk about the role of artificial intelligence in leadership, please?
A very interesting question. In today's world of leadership, it is only artificial intelligence. It is the usage of artificial intelligence, machine learning, machine vision, all the cutting edge technologies that will give information to a leader and he can take the right decision. The amount of data that is available with him is much more and in much greater detail and more accurate than it was 70 years ago. So today, you take the case of what technology is doing. I mean, technology has removed a president from Twitter, and the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is offended by that. So you can imagine media giants with their technology and artificial intelligence and algorithms, they're able to control leaders of a country, now the first world country. So this is where artificial intelligence plays a role.
In that case, given how the macro situation has changed, like the example that we just discussed over the last 70 years, what is your advice to potentially current leaders and even aspiring leaders?
My advice is this: every individual can be a leader. It is not necessary that you have to head an organization to be a leader. Leadership is not laddership. You don't have to climb the ladder to be a leader. You can have a leader student. Now, who is a leader student? A leader student is one who plans his studies, who plans his chapters, who plans the months, the time, the day. He breaks it down, the degree of complexity that every chapter has, and he studies it well in advance. He takes 1 or 2 tests by himself, and he looks forward to the exam. A leader student loves the exam. A non-leader student is one who wastes his time, who does not study, who is fearful of the exam. Take the case of a leader assistant. A leader assistant is one who works in such a manner that his manager gets a promotion. That's a leader assistant, because then he's looking at the overall development of the organization. Who is a non-leader assistant? A non-leader assistant is one who plays politics, he wastes his time, does not give his 8 hours of work. Such a person is a non-leader assistant. Now, leadership individuals are leadership, can take leadership decisions on their own. I have one example to tell you, that when I was in the corporate office, one day I went to the factory on a visit, and I found one individual sitting in a room, and it was written there, one board was the industrial engineering department. So I asked him, what are you doing here? He says, I'm doing nothing. Very interesting. I said, if you're doing nothing, you have anybody under you? He said, yes, I have 2 MTechs, that means Masters of Engineering under me, and I have a diploma in engineering under me, and I have a technician, electrical technician under me. I said, what are you? He said, I'm a gold medalist first class in Bachelor of Industrial and Production Engineering from Baroda University. I was shocked. I said, you're a gold medalist sitting here doing nothing, and you have masters in engineering under you. How can that be? He said, they do not know the job. I know the job. He was very young. He must have been 28 or 30. He was a kid, but very dynamic. So I took a decision. I told him, can you do this job from somewhere else? He said, you give me a phone, I can do this from my bed, from my house. I said, how many minutes does this take of your day of 8 hours? It takes 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, I can do this job. And I sit there for 7 hours, 55 minutes doing nothing. So I said, how long will you take to go from here to some other place? I said, I can go in the next 15 minutes. I said, all right, tomorrow morning. It was around 10:30 or 11 o'clock in the morning. I said, tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, report to the corporate office to the business development manager and support him, and run your industrial engineering from there. So I feel that I have taken a leadership decision where I took a gold medalist first class and put him in the corporate office for business development, and he continued to do the industrial engineering over the phone.
I really like this example, and I really like the concept of everyone can be a leader. It's leadership and not laddership. Just because you're in a particular position or at a particular position in an organization, that doesn't make you a leader. You can be a leader with everything that you do. So on this note, I would want to end this video, but it's been I think very insightful for me that in such a short time you've opened my mind on the whole concept of leadership. So I just want to thank you for your time.
Thank you, Agnes.